Hello, grade 12. We're going to be doing 2D arrays revision. This is the program we will be using. There's a string grid here with a fixed columns and fixed rows. If you click on the string grid, that's the component which we normally use to display a 2D array. We have a column count of 8 because there are fixed columns, one fixed column and one fixed row, and now we use those fixed columns and the fixed row for headings. Normally you don't have to have them, but we do have them. Now we are going to see how many rows. What is the row count? The row count is 7 because there's one fixed row at the top here, which we'll put all the headings for the columns on that row. So let's go and do that. We're going to display the headings in the string grid. Now, in order to display the column headings, we're going to only work on row 0. Remember the string grid, the rows start at 0 and the columns also start at 0. And when you access a cell in a string grid, you're looking at integers for the columns and the rows. They are addressed with integers. So, because we're going to use columns and rows, we're going to use a variable called iRow and iCol integers, because we access the string grid with integers only. And I'm going to go from column 1 to column 1, which is this second column here, column 1 all the way to column 7 up there. Now the first column is column 0 and the first row is row 0, so that cell in the top left hand corner is 0, 0. Let's go and put something in there first, and the name of the string grid is stg seats dot cells column 0 row 0 equal, what should we put in there? Well, we can put in grade 12 seating plan, or we can just write the word grade 12. Right, so that's going to be that very top corner cell. Now for the columns, actually let's do the rows first, it's easier. We're going to go from the easiest first, from row 1 to row 6. So for our row equals 1 to 6, we say stg seats dot cells. Now the column, yeah, the column is going to be 0, and the column is always first in a string grid, and then the row comes second. What are we going to put in each row? Well, I'll put the word row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here in this left hand column, column 0. Remember, string grids, you start numbering from 0. The column first and then the row second. Row and then into string our row. And that'll put the numbers 1 to 6, row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down that first column on the left hand side. Right, now we're going to do the columns. For the columns I want it to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Why? Because when I look at the 2D array, I want to display this 2D array in the string grid. And the 2D array, the columns are referenced second in this address for the array indices. A to G is going to be the columns, A to G. So we want A to G along the top, sorry about that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G along the top of there. We want to have those letters of the alphabet up there. So we're going to go through each column, but we're going to use row 0. Now we must remember that the string grid is numbered. The indices for the string grid, not the 2D array, the string grid, you can only use integers to refer to their cells. But whereas the 2D array you can use anything to refer to the cell subscripts. But anyway, we want to do this. It's going to be column first. Remember, string grid is column first, and then row naught. So it's all happening in row naught. But we want to put a character in each one of those cells along the top. So I keep doing that. Character A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We want to put characters along the top there. So in order to do that, we have to start with a character and increment our character. So I'm going to see, okay, C char character data type, or you can say it's C letter of the alphabet, and we're going to start with C letter equal to capital A. How are we going to get that capital A to increment and then display along each column heading? Well, we'll have to do begin and end. We know the first one is going to be fine. You know it'll be the letter A, but how do we get B, C, and D, and so on? Well, there's a nice little function in Delphi, which is a successor function to get the successor of the character. In other words, the next character, the next one in line after a character, and that is the function there. And now that will display. So let's run the program. And we click the button, and there we have it, displayed nicely across there. Right. We're going to go into the next button click. We're going to read from a text file to a 2D array. What does a text file look like? There it is. A little bit small for you guys. You can always change that quickly so you can see it better. Okay, now what we have is a line with commas and first names of learners. This is a sample of what the text file will look like. Here's one of the lines, there's another line, and as you can see there's commas in each line. What the commas represent, that comma represents that there's nothing in column A, right? And then we read the next up to the next comma and not include the comma, and then we will have John will go into column B. Then we read the next comma, and that will be an empty column there. Then the next comma will be Fuzzy. We're going to copy Fuzzy and put it into this column. Say that is row 1 of the text file. Then we'll see, okay, we've read that and we've deleted it. Then we're going to read that. That's going to be represent column E. That will be represent column F, and anything after the last comma will be in column G. So there's nothing in this particular cell there. I'm just demonstrating how the text file lines will work. Here's another line of the text file. Further on down there you'll see a line like that. So that line will be 1, 2, 3. It's actually row 4. So we read the first comma, there's nothing. The second comma, there's nothing. And then we have Pika, which will go into column C, the third column. And then we will have read all of that. Then we read the next comma, so that means there's nothing there. Next comma, there's nothing there. The next comma, there's nothing there. And then over here we read that, and there's nothing after the comma, so that is the very last. So that is basically what we're going to do. As you note, each line will be a row of the 2D array. So this is an example of the 2D array. And that is the address of the 2D array from A to G in columns and 1 to 6 rows. If you look at the definition of the array, the declaration, should I say, here it is there. 1 to 6 of rows, A to G of string. So how are we going to do that? Well, we know that each row of the text file will be a row in the 2D array. So that will help us to start off with. Let's get to that button. Now I'm going to use a variable row for starters, definitely. But I'm also going to use a C letter char data type for my columns. I'm going to call it C col. But before we even begin, we know we have to go and test if the text file exists. That's what we always have to do. The name of the text file is seatingplan.txt. Exit. And then the assign file statement, we do need a text file variable. And S1 line. So we're going to read the lines from the text file one by one. So seatingplan.txt, and reset the text file, and then while not end of file, begin and end. And yes, we're going to read a line from the text file into S1 line. So far it's very standard grade 11 work. But now comes the tricky part. We have to take note of the rows. So our row is going to be, each time we read from a text file, we'll increment our row. So we set our row equal to 0, increment our row once we read from the text file, but then that line from the text file, S1 line, we're going to copy and delete. We're going to copy the comma and then delete. Copy from 1 to the position of the comma, -1, and then delete. So we'll copy the first comma, and the second column comma, then the third comma, then the fourth comma, then the fifth comma, and then the sixth comma, and after that whatever's left is going to be in 7. Take note, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to use a counter here. I'm going to call it K and use a for loop because I'm going to repeat things 6 times. 1 to 6. Let's go through that again. I'm going to copy the first comma, and that's going to be 1, and then I'm going to delete it. Okay, then I'll be left with this. Then I'm going to copy from 1 to the second comma, okay, in -1, and put that into a cell, and then I will delete that lot. And then we'll move all of that up. Oh my word. Okay, we're going to go to there. Are we? Not quite. And then we're going to copy the second comma from 1 to the position of the comma, and we will actually have nothing, and that will go into a column, C, and then we will copy the fourth from 1 to the fourth. The fourth time we're going to copy from 1 to the position of a comma and then delete, and that will go into our next column of the 2D array, and then we will be left with these two, and we have to copy the next comma from 1 to the position of the comma -1, and then delete that comma, and then so we've copied how many commas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 commas. Okay, so we will have copied 1 to the position of the comma, -1, and then delete the comma 6 times, and then whatever's left, if it's nothing, it's nothing, it's fine. And then we can safely just put nothing into the very last cell, which will be column G. So each time we're actually going to be having a character C row. We're going to start off with character A. So what are we going to do? Begin and end. We're going to say ARR, what's the name of the 2D array? ARR 2D seats, comma, what is it, the row first, R row, comma, C col, sorry I must make it not C row, C col here, because we have a characters representing the columns in our 2D array. Luckily the 2D array is all strings. We're going to copy from S1 line, starting at 1, and the number of characters will be the position of the comma in S1 line minus 1. Let me let you see that a bit better. Just indent this so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, can you see it now? So it will be equal to that minus 1. Copy from S1 line starting at 1, position of the comma in S1 line minus 1. That represents the number of characters we're going to copy, and we don't want to include the comma, so we put a minus 1 there, and then we delete whatever we've copied. And that's what that is. That will do that, delete. But we also have to increment our C col. If C col starts at A, we know that we're going to copy the first one into A. So let's go and do this to increment A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So let's think about it. That's A will be 1, B, C, D, E, F. It will go up to F, won't it? And then what we're going to do after the for loop, we will say ARR 2D seats equals, it's not going to be C col, we'll make it F. Actually we can, no, we can, it'll be C col, because remember we're starting at A and then we put everything in A, and then that's B, then C, D, E, F. It goes to F, A, then B, C, D, E, F, and then G is going to be the last. After this for loop is ended, C col will be G, and then all we have to do is say S1 line. Now that should be interesting to see if that works, eh? And if we've made any mistake, then we can fix it. Yeah, right here. I'm just going to indent this so you can see it. Right. So remember, in the while loop, we're reading a line, we're incrementing a row, we set our column to A, and then we make a for loop, and in that for loop, C col gets incremented each time while we fill up the 2D array. And after we've got to column 6 times, our C col should then be G after this loop has ended, and that will give us the last bit of S1 line. Remember, we've deleted the last comma. What is after that, we then go and put into our 2D array over there. We mustn't forget to put that last one in after we've gone up to 6 columns. Note that this is like a representation of the 2D array, but this is a better one here. We'll go up to F, and then C col will be G, and we have to make sure we include that last one after the last comma was deleted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, we're copying and deleting 6 commas, and then we'll be left with something after the last comma, and that must go in to our 2D array as well. So once we've put everything into the 2D array, okay, then we're going to go to the button click that says display the 2D array in the string grid. So let's go and do that. How do we display a 2D array in the string grid? Hopefully everything has been done properly and the 2D array is filled successfully with items from the text file. Take note. So we now have to access our 2D array that has been filled successfully. We're only dealing with that at the moment. And we want to display in the string grid. Now we know that the string grid uses our row and our col, not so. But the 2D array must have C-col, a char data type. So that will help us at this point. Now we can do the following. For our row equals, we'll use our integers. The string grid is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows and 7 columns. So we can do our nested for loop like this. Our col equals 1 to 7 do. Remember, the string grid is only numbered with columns, but for our col we have to have a corresponding character. So we must put begin and end before our second for loop, because we want to initialize a character and then increment that character after we've done something with it. And now we know how to increment a character, don't we now? Yes, we do. But over here, for column A, we want to go and put in the 2D array. We want to put the 2D array into the string grid, so we say the string grid name stg seats dot cells square brackets. Remember, I-col is first in a string grid and I-row is second. We say that is equal to ARR 2D seats. Luckily the array is a string, so we don't have to go and convert that to from an integer to a string. It's already a string. But we must remember that the row comes first, and the column comes second. And there you have it. And you have to remember that your nested for loop, you need to initialize a character here so that you can refer to a character for the column in the 2D array. So that is just the tricky part. So let's run the program and see if it works. So we have error already. If not file exists. Why is if not file exists? Okay. Let's see. Semicolon missing. Alright, another error. Semicolon missing. Okay, so let's go display headings in string grid. There it is. And then we read from the text file. Okay, it says no file found. Interesting, eh? Let's go and check that. Luckily I did put that code in. The file that we're looking for is called, oh, I don't have it there, that's why. Okay, I must make sure my file is there, not so. Seating plan. I forgot to put my file there. Okay, let's try it again. Read from text file to 2D array. Okay, fine, I know it's done. Then display, and there it is. So let's go and look at our text file again and make sure that we have got it correct. So seating plan. Right, so as you can see, Tau, Tom and Vuelwa are all in column G, the last column, and everything else is 100%. Pekka is in the third column there, see, column 1, column 2, that's C, and you can see Gr is in column C. You must practice your clicks. And Nick over here is in column 1, right at the end, column A, sorry, and Trudy's in D, A, B, C, D, E, F, and yeah. So that's 100%. We've read successfully from the text file into the 2D array and displayed in the string grid. So tomorrow we're going to do something, the next video there'll be something more difficult.